Hey guys, today we're going to go ahead and talk about something very important in algebra. We're going to go ahead and derive the quadratic formula. So we're basically going to go from the standard equation of a quadratic and we're going to derive the quadratic formula. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to complete the square. So let me go ahead and give myself some room here. Okay, now the first thing we have to do is go ahead and set it equal to 0. Now remember, we are completing the square. So in order to do that, there's one important concept. You see this x squared, if you remember, we cannot have a coefficient with the x squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything by that constant, that letter a. Okay, every single thing. And that is going to give me a divided by a is 1, which is just x squared. B over A, and we get C over A. Now over here, 0 divided by A, 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Now the next step is we have to give myself some room. So I'm going to move this guy over here. Now if you remember, anytime you jump the equal sign, it changes. It becomes the opposite. So I'm going to give myself some room right here. Now the plus C over A is going to become A minus C over A. Okay. Now 0 minus C over A is negative C over A. Okay. And remember, we have to give myself some room there for the other stuff that's going to go here. Now, if you remember, completing the square, we're going to take this middle term. Okay, we're going to take this middle term and we are going to take the half of it. And if you think about it, it's like dividing by 2, or more specifically, multiplying by 1/2. Because that's what we want. We want half of the middle term. So half of a fraction, b times 1 is b, a times 2 is 2a. So that's what's going to go in here. So we're going to put b over 2a. And of course we're going to square it. b over 2a. Remember, what you do on the left, you have to do on the right. Okay? So now that we have that, we've completed the square. Now we have to go ahead and factor this trinomial. And that's very simple. We're going to take one letter from the x. Now whatever's inside here, we're going to go ahead and just put it here. Since it's positive, we're going to put plus b over 2a quantity squared. Okay. Now on this side, we have negative c over a. Now this part here, I'm going to simplify. B to the second power is b squared. 2a to the second power 2 squared is 4. A to the second power, that's going to give me a squared. Okay, now before I continue, if you notice, I have fractions over here. Okay, what I want to do is simplify this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine, but I need common denominators. If you notice, we have an a here. Now this guy over here has 2 a's. So what I'm going to do is multiply this guy by the letter a, so we can have a squared. And this guy also has a 4, so this guy over here is missing a 4, so I'm going to multiply it by 4. And that should give me the common denominator. But remember, whatever you do on the denominator, you got to do on the numerator. So when I simplify this, I will get 4a times c is 4ac. Oops, negative. Okay. Over on the bottom, we have 4a squared. Plus, over here we just have our b squared over 4a squared. Okay. On this side we still have x plus b over 2a quantity squared. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and continue. Let me give myself some room over here. Now we're gonna go ahead and continue to simplify it. Now, if you notice, I'm going to go ahead and just combine this over here. So negative 4ac plus b squared, I can rewrite that as b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Okay, on this side I have x plus b over 2a. Nice. Now remember, we have to solve for x, so I have to get rid of this square. So I'm going to take the square root. Now I'm going to take the square root of everything. Okay. On the left side, we are going to be left with x plus b over 2a. Okay, because the square root takes care of the square. Now over here, remember, anytime you take the square root, you have plus and minus. You have two solutions. On the top, you have b squared minus 4ac. Okay. A lot of students think, oh well, can't you just take out a b because it's b squared? The answer is no, because this whole thing here is one entity. It's like if it's one number. Okay, you can't break it up. On the bottom, the denominator, we have square root of 4a squared. Now if you notice, this comes out very nicely. We have b squared minus 4ac. Now on the denominator, the square root of 4 is 2. And the square root of a squared is just 2a. Okay? Now, let me just make this a little nicer. On this side, we have x plus b over 2a. Okay? Now, our last step, our final step, is I got to take this guy here to solve, take him over. So, if you notice, from positive, when you jump the equal sign, it becomes a negative b over 2a plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Okay? Now, if you notice, we have common denominators. We can go ahead and combine. So we're going to have negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And that is how we derive the quadratic formula. Alright guys, hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, send me an email. Alright, good luck.